But do we care about someone that's going to listen to us or not listen to us, that's just going to sit there and kind of be on their phone and not make us feel heard? The people you spend your time with are the most important things that you have around you. They completely change the way that you perceive yourself. And if we do not take that seriously, and mark my words, take this very seriously, you are never going to have the validation that you're actually looking for. And when it comes down to it, a lot of people are like, I don't need validation from other people. I have an internal locus of control. A lot of people are like, I need a lot of validation from my significant others, my partners, all of this other stuff. But the reality of the situation is we all need validation. We all are trying our very hardest, ideally, to become better human beings, to be more useful to our family and friends, and getting that feedback of like, dude, you're doing a good job. Or, hey, maybe you should think about not being an asshole in this circumstance. Or, hey, like, the way that you said this thing is not professional. Any of those like little things, it matters who we are getting our advice from. It's the main reason that I bash on psychiatrists a lot. It's like, dude, you're not going to want to get advice from someone that you don't want to be like, right? Good teachers in school, for anyone that's in university or graduate school, or even just thinking back, if you had the luxury of going to school in the West, you can remember the teachers that really made a difference in your life because they were good human beings outside of the workplace, right? They're people that have some sort of grace to them, some sort of wisdom to them that beyond the subject that they're teaching that connects you to them. And that validation from those people is worth a lot more than validation from your bully, or some asshole kid that you don't want to be like at all. Or maybe a parent that like you're just like, I don't want to, I don't want to turn out like you. So validation, super important. Who you're getting your validation from, even more important. Realizing that you're going to be validated by everyone or devalidated by the people you're around regardless, also a very important thing to realize. So your environment is composed of a bunch of people that are going to form your conception of yourself. There's a popular quote, maybe that's not popular, it's a Turab quote that I remember, is your friends are the roof and the walls of your house. What does that mean? Well, when you walk into your house, if it's dirty, if there's, I don't know, there's puke on the walls, right? You're not going to have a very good time entering your household. If, however, you enter your house and is well painted and everything's structured and you have nice upholstery and you have nice furniture around and things are in the right place, you're going to feel a lot more calm and a lot more sophisticated, you know? So it depends who you're spending your time around because that is going to be the subconscious thing that's always in the back of your head. On top of that, I've used plenty of times in my life, and consistently I use the feedback of people that I respect to understand whether or not I'm doing the morally correct thing when it comes to business or when it comes to personal life, whether I'm doing the financially correct thing when it comes to getting advice from people that have a better financial future or a better financial progression that I do. But I also just need people in my life, and I believe every human being does, that can sit there and listen to us, that can sit in the mud with us. Like Simon Sinek said, we need 8 minutes of time from a close friend when life's being shitty, right? We need someone to sit with us and just be like, I'm listening, dude. But do we care about someone that's going to listen to us or not listen to us, that's just going to sit there and kind of be on their phone and not make us feel heard? Or do we instead want someone that's going to sit with us for those 8 minutes and really be attentive, right? So the validation we're getting from those two people is completely different. Very, very important to realize we are emotional creatures, right? We need that emotional well-being. We need that tolerance from people around us. We need that ability to say what we feel in our heart and get it off our chest. And that's where psychiatrists are really beneficial. That's where psychologists are really beneficial. A lot of people don't establish those relationships in their life. They don't have those people around them that they can just be like, dude, I had a shitty day and this is the 12 reasons why. Or I had a shitty week and this is like the 15, 20 reasons why. And just to be able to put that out there, it makes a drastic difference. I think a lot of my videos, I always say, don't be a little bitch. I get it, but you do want to have that level of tenderness in your life. You do want to have that level of grace in your life. It's what leads to sustainability. Another Turab quote that I remember is there's two types of strength, right? There's the strength of a sword, which is sharp. It can cut for sure, but it's brittle. It can break, right? If you hit at the wrong angle, you can literally snap a sword. Yeah, since all of us have swords, you know. And then there's the strength of a tree, and an old oak tree can dull thousands of swords, right? And the way that this tree has accumulated its power is vulnerability. Is fine. It needs to be strong in situations where there's fires or there's winds or oil or some sort of contaminant is dumped into its soil. But for the most part, it also provides a lot of life. It provides homes for tiny organisms. It's constantly vulnerable to temperature, chemical changes, the microbiota that's around it. So it's very, very important to realize that strength is first of all built over time, but second of all, it's built by having validation from its surrounding that's saying, "Hey, you deserve to be one of us. Our forest of trees that you've put up with the same stuff that we put up with, that you're in the same soil that we're in, right?" And that family around it, those organisms around it, that informs to some degree this other organism whether or not it's being successful in society, whether or not its conception of how it fits into its environment is accurate. We need to have good mirrors around us. That's another thing, is when we start lifting the standard for what it means to be productive and useful in our families and in our environments, there's a pull on the people around us, right? It's like, oh shit, Alex is doing all this shit all the time, and he's out and he's doing all this stuff, right? He wasn't doing this 6 months ago, and it feels weird to me, right? Because now you're a mirror to someone else. You're saying, look, like I can move to a degree and I can change my circumstances, right? That person's thinking, well, shit, can I do that? Right? Should I do that? And it becomes this awkward ascension into figuring out what we're capable of doing while still being held by the constraints, the psychological constraints of the people around us, which is why it's so important to constantly also be looking for new people to add to our environment. I think a lot of people get really comfortable with their hometown friends. They get really comfortable with their family and spouses and their kids and the church and all of the things that they spend their time with, which is a beautiful thing, 100%. But if your goal is to grow and to do something that you've never done before, or to achieve heights that you've never achieved before, you got to do things and hang out with people that you've never hung out with before. And understanding that that is a process of finding those people, consciously going out of our way to seek validation from different perspectives, to seek validation from people that we respect, or people that we actually have faith in humanity enough to say, hey, the 5 people I spend my time with are incredible human beings, but that doesn't mean that there isn't other incredible human beings, that there aren't other incredible perspectives that I should be exposing myself to. Because the worst case scenario is that you push yourself really hard and you get to a level of excellence that you respect, but then the 5 people that you're around are like, dude, get your ass back down here. Like we can't catch up, right? You want someone else to ideally, you want to lose the worst part of that, the most negative individual there, and replace them with someone that's pulling you up. That's when you start having this momentum in life, this acceleration, and starting to feel like, the things that I want to do are actually getting accomplished. And that means that I feel better about myself. I'm better for my family, my friends. I'm better for my community. And when I go to sleep and I wake up in the morning, I feel a sense of satisfaction and I feel a sense of sustainability. I think if each of us feel that way consistently in our lives, we're going to just have a better community. We're going to have a better society. We're going to choose our sides more wisely because we're being validated accurately. But it's this constant process of you need to seek validation from people that you respect. The other thing is, because I'm an immigrant kid, so this might apply to some of you guys, about marriage, right? So with immigrant kids, there's a lot of this like arranged marriage stuff. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but so what ends up happening is, these parents are like, oh, dude, you got to get married. You're like 28. And then the parents themselves have never had successful relationships, right? They've been divorced, like shit, like they haven't had fun in their marriage, they haven't and then you're over here like, well, how are you going to give me advice about a long-lasting relationship when you have never accomplished that in your own right? Right? And that's like a hard pill to swallow, and obviously probably a bad way to say it. There's probably better ways to say it, but that is the reality, right? You don't want to get validation about things that you're trying to do with from people that have failed at doing it. That's just a basic hard and fast fact of life. And so it's our responsibility to go out there and find people that have been successful in the parts of life that we want to actually be better at, and get advice from them and get validation from them, to actually get an accurate understanding of whether or not we're moving closer to that success. It's an awareness thing, and it's a very. I actually made a video about this a long time ago. I was walking in the woods, and I was talking about these exact things, that you don't seek validation. You have to. External, internal locus of controls in all different aspects of life, very important. But make sure that you don't have like toxic people around you. That you don't have people that are being negative about the things that you want to do. Make sure that you're surrounding yourself instead with people that are positive, but positive and successful, not optimistically like stupid. Like you really need people that have achieved something around you to giving you that advice. If they haven't achieved that thing, they should probably not be giving advice about it. That's just rule one of being a mentor or a great validator in any capacity. Do the fucking work. It's required. So hopefully this helps. Actualize your potential catalyst. This world needs you. Take care of yourself. If you did enjoy it, if you made it to the end, please smash that like button. Helps a lot. Throw me a comment. What is something that I can validate you in, or any of the people in this community can help with. And if you want more stuff like this in your feed, go ahead and subscribe, and I'll see you around. Deuces.